The world of Smash speculation can be dangerous sometimes. On one hand, it can be a lot of fun to think about your favorite character joining the likes of Mario or Link to duke it out with each other just for the fun of it. But on the other hand, claiming that a character will join Smash as a fighter just because you hear a lot of people talking about it absolutely holds no weight. Some notable examples include how on the January 16th, 2020 Direct, lots of people thought either Dante from Devil May Cry or Sora from Kingdom Hearts would join the game all because of Sakurai holding 3 fingers up in a teaser image on Twitter, only for it to turn out that it would actually be Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses, and the 3 fingers were actually binary for the number 17, as at the time there were 17 games in the Fire Emblem series, counting spin-offs. Probably. And even very recently, everybody was expecting Crash Bandicoot to join the battle just because he's relevant in gaming again and most of his games are on the Switch, only to have his chances literally be thrown into a volcano as Kazuya Mishima from Tekken has joined the battle instead. Side note, I think Crash for Smash would have been awesome, even if I thought it would never happen. The point is, speculation like this almost does nothing to help us. All it ever proves is that our pipe dreams are just wishful thinking and nothing else. A few exceptions aside. We as a community need to realize that the Smash roster isn't a members-only club about which game series matter and which don't. And the guy calling the shots doesn't view it as that. He and his team are just trying to put together a compelling and interesting roster. So, can we please try and separate our fantasy from expectations? Something like this happens way too often in the community. Even I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. But over the years, I've learned my lessons and learned to keep my expectations in check. Even if I still have trouble with that sometimes. Bottom line, please hype responsibly. Sorry, just needed an outlet to get that off my chest. Okay, with all that being said, the real point of this video is to challenge myself to make a Smash Bros. Moveset for a video game character if they ever got into the series. And if you know me, I think you already know who I'm about to talk about. Shantae! For those who don't know, Shantae is the main protagonist of the namesake series. She is a very powerful magician despite being only half of a genie. You see, while her father is a human warrior, her mother is actually a full-on genie. However, we haven't seen either parent as of yet. In the meantime, Shantae lives with her inventive uncle Mimic in the harbor town on the coast of Sequinland, Scuttletown, acting as the town's guardian genie. On and off. The town's mayor's an idiot. She's also a professional belly dancer as a side job, which is how she's able to perform various spells of hers, like transforming into different creatures. But when she's not dancing for entertainment purposes, Shantae uses her power to protect Scuttletown from her arch-enemy, the evil self-proclaimed pirate queen, Risky Boots. And with the help of her best friends, Sky, Bolo, and Rowdy Tops, Shantae will keep fighting to maintain peace all across Sequinland. Kind of a simple premise, right? Making her debut on the Game Boy Color back in 2002, Shantae has been a mainstay on Nintendo hardware since. Sure, she's branched out to other systems lately, but she's mostly been the closest thing to an honorary second-party Nintendo character, as some Nintendo fans can attest to. Of course, having games on Nintendo hardware doesn't guarantee a spot in the roster, but it certainly doesn't hurt their chances either. Shantae has been a part of newcomer speculation since as far back as Smash 4, maybe even further than that. And while she's not as popular to talk about like other indie game characters like Shovel Knight, Sans, Cuphead, or even Hollow Knight, she's still an interesting choice with plenty of moveset potential. And yes, I'm well aware that she's already an ultimate as a spirit, as well as that. But we're here to talk interesting ideas, not actual chances. But speaking of chances, even if she didn't get a Mii costume, I unfortunately believe that her chances of getting into Smash as a fighter were the worst they've ever been. First of all, her franchise is not only indie developed, which we haven't got a rep for yet, not counting Mii Costumes or Steve, but it's also a Western developed series. Usually characters that fall into that category are going to be harder for Japanese devs to work with. We've only seen 2 Western guest fighters so far, both from Microsoft. And while they have a sizable Japanese fanbase, it's still a challenging hill to climb. Plus, I'm not sure how popular Shantae is in Japan. Second, considering that this Fighter's Pass will be the end of development for Ultimates, I believe Kazuya will be our last third-party newcomer, and that Challenger Pack 11 will be a first-party Nintendo rep. Personally, my guess would be a Pokemon from Sword and Shield or a Zelda character to promote the upcoming Breath of the Wild sequel, preferably Impa. The point is, unless they surprise us with a third Fighter's Pass, as unlikely as that is, then this is it. This is the endgame, and like I said, all we can do at this point now is keep our expectations in check. But let's say hypothetically Shantae did get into Smash as a fighter. What would she be like? Well, let's start with appearances. I imagine the Smash team will want to pull from her most recent outing as they do with most of the characters on the roster. But for me personally, I would go with something like an amalgamation of her appearances from Half Genie Hero and 7 Sirens. Almost like how Ridley and Simon got a touch-up. But for this video, I'll go with this render by DeviantArt user The Great Pip Max. I think it's a near perfect 3D representation of how I would want Shantae to look. Just add some touch-ups to the hair and the clothes and we're good to go. Or red to go in this case. Of course, now that I think about it, had the Mii costume not happened, this could have been Shantae's first official appearance in 3D. Go figure. As for colors, this is what I imagine they would be. Her default appearance would be the red color. This blue color is a 2-in-1 reference. The first to her blue costume exclusive for backers of Half Genie Hero, and the other to her dancer outfit from Risky's Revenge. This pink color is a reference to Shantae's Valentine's Day outfit from Risky's Revenge, specifically for promotional material. This yellow color is a reference to the Labyrinth dancers from Shantae for the Game Boy Color. This black color is a reference to one of Shantae's best friends, Roddy Tops. This white color is a reference to the oldest Half Genie, Harmony, from 7 Sirens. This green color is a reference to Holly Lingerbean from Half Genie Hero, who should have gotten a bigger role in that game! But I digress. And finally, this purple color is an obvious reference to her corruptive villainous counterpart, Nega Shantae. If they wanted to give her some alternate costumes, I could see them giving her these two specifically, both of which are DLC costumes for Half Genie Hero, Ninja Shantae and Officer Shantae, the latter of which is a reference to Mighty Switch Force, which is another Way Forward title. I left out her more suggestive costumes like the Space Princess outfit from Pirate's Curse, because, as we all know, Smash is a game for good boys and girls. And before you start calling me out, Shantae is way more tame than my Shiranui. The series symbol would of course be the magic lamp. A bit simple? Yes, but if ARMS and Tekken could get away with using a fist for a symbol, then why shouldn't Shantae? I just think this is the best symbol to represent her series. Not much to say about her stock icon, it's pretty much what you expect it to be. Same with the Kirby hat, it's just Kirby with Shantae's hairstyle. Animation-wise, they could be pulled straight from her source material, all the way from the first game by giving her a strut for a walking animation, to her more recent titles by having her actually swim. Some minor animations like sleeping or ledge hanging would mostly have to be innovated, as long as they match her personality. As for attributes, this is something that's way out of my pay grade. I'm not an expert when it comes to a fighter's stats and ratings in fighting games. As such, I won't go into much detail about it. Besides, stuff like this is very decisive when it comes to balancing a fighter. Anywho, Shantae would be a mid-weight class fighter similar to Mario, and would be a hint slower than him. She would also roughly be the same height as Falco, but her airspeed would be below average at best. She can double jump and will be able to crawl, sound effect included. Alright, let's dance. What exactly would Shantae's moveset be like? The way I thought about this is to treat her as a combination of Mega Man and the Dragon Quest Hero. Oh wait, combining those two would just give you Mega Man Battle Network, wouldn't it? Okay, let me rephrase that. For Shantae, I'll be combining certain elements of Mega Man and Hero. What I mean is, certain attacks and transformations will be used throughout her normal melee moves. It's like how Mega Man has most of the Robot Master's abilities scattered throughout his moveset, which is why I decided to treat Shantae almost the same way as him. So if that's the case, how is she similar to the Dragon Quest Hero 2? Well, this is where her gimmick comes in. As stated before, Shantae may only be half of a genie, but she's also a very powerful magician. However, she also knows when to limit herself just like in her games. With great power comes great restraint. That's why there will be a magic meter above her HUD. This meter measures how much magic Shantae can use whenever she uses a special move, except for one. But I made sure to make her meter different enough from the heroes so it doesn't feel like a copy and paste job. In her games, Shantae can refill her magic meter by consuming potions that she can buy from the shop. For Smash, however, she can earn a certain amount of magic by attacking foes using normal melee attacks. This is the only way to earn magic for the meter. It will not refill on its own over time. You have to deal damage to your opponents. By the way, if you try to use this special move while the meter is empty, nothing will happen. Otherwise, the meter will be completely refilled per stock. Now, to prevent this video from getting any longer than it has any right to be, and for the sake of my voice, The percentage of magic will be shown on screen with each attack. Let's begin with her normal attacks. Now, if only there were an iconic ability of hers that would fit well as a jab attack. Could it be anything else? This is something that Shantae has always been able to do since her first outing. She'll use her ponytail to whip at her opponents. This is a one-hit jab that is spammable like Pikachu's, but not as fast. This move will also be her down tilt and her neutral aerial. See the Mega Man resemblance yet? Her dash attack will have Shantae charge through her foes with her elbow, thanks to her new cuffs she just bought. You might think this is just Wario's shoulder bash attack, and I can see why you would think that. But this is actually a reference to her first game when, like I said, she bought the cuffs. I decided for her side tilt that it should be a simple roundhouse kick. This isn't something she does in her games, but I figured it would be a natural extension of her abilities. Hope you like sword attacks, because that's what I use for her up tilts as well as her forward aerial. Hey, it wouldn't be Smash Brothers without sword attacks, right? When grounded, Shantae will swing her scimitar in an upwards arc from front to back. And when airborne, she'll swing it again in the opposite motion, but within the Z-axis and forwards towards her opponents. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, has Shantae ever used a scimitar outside of Pirate's Curse? And the answer is yes. The scimitar is the third and final form of the Pike Ball spell since Half Genie Hero. At least as far as I'm aware. I don't know about Rescue's Revenge. However, I had to innovate for these two moves, but I hope you guys don't mind. Borrowing a move from Peach and Daisy, Shantae will do a simple hip bump for her back air. Only difference is, no effects at all. Her next two attacks pull from her first game. When you bought the tiara, this allows Shantae to twirl her ponytail in the air, fitting as her up air attack, and perfect for juggling your opponent if need be. Meanwhile, Shantae shows off her new sash she just bought by doing an angled trill kick for her down air. This move has multiple hit points being a spinning move, but when sweet spotted, it will cause a meteor effect. I should mention that each hit will not count towards the meter. Only using the move once will do the trick. That does it for the warm-up sessions. Let's keep the beat going. Next up are her smash attacks. Well, I guess her first game has a lot of good attacks that are just begging to be reused someday. It looks like her boots are no exception either. When equipped, Shantae will perform a sweep kick that will send her upwards a short distance. Her next two smash attacks will utilize two of her signature transformations. While charging, she'll dance as if she were actually transforming. If you're looking for some heavy launching power, look no further than Shantae's elephant form. After transforming, she'll plow through her opponents like it was nothing. This move does have some start and end lag though, so be careful. But if you want something much smaller but still hurts, her crab form should do the trick. After transforming, Shantae will pinch her claws towards the ground thrice. This also has start and end lag, so once again, be careful. Shantae in her games hasn't been known for grabbing her enemies at all. Let's see if we can't try to solve that problem. Actually grabbing her opponent wouldn't be anything special. A simple two-handed grab is effective enough, along with a simple knee jab. But here's where her throws get interesting. Shantae will borrow another move from one of her Smash peers for her back throw, Ken's Hell Wheel. No? Not impressed? Well, to me this felt like another natural extension of her abilities. I wouldn't put it past her to actually do this. But don't worry, her remaining throws will go back to her iconic transformations. Starting with... Shantae will transform into her monkey form and blast into her opponent, knocking them away. The damage dealt will only be a quarter of the elephant bash. Well, this is different. After throwing her opponent in the air, Shantae will transform into her bat form and screech powerful sonic waves, knocking the foe upwards. For a down throw, oh boy. After throwing her opponent to the ground, Shantae will transform into her spider form and spit venom on them, knocking them back. That's gotta be a nightmare waiting for them tonight. Breaking a sweat already? Good, because it's time for our show-stopping finale, the special moves. This is where all the magic Shantae has been building up comes into play. Let's start with a spell that's a little... electrifying. For this spell, Shantae will summon a Storm Puff. The puff itself will act as a proximity mine, almost like Pyukimuku, electrocuting any foe that comes near it and dealing some moderate flinching damage. It can also be moved around by Shantae if she attacks it. The puff will remain on screen for about 7 seconds before it disappears. She can only summon 2 puffs on screen at a time, and each one will take 20% of magic. How about we turn up the heat with this next spell? This move has a tap and hold variant. Tap the button and Shantae will shoot one fireball from her hands. This will use 10% of magic. Hold the button down and she'll shoot 3 fireballs parallel from each other. This will take 15% of magic. Her up special will be a bit different. What do I mean by this? This is what I mean. This is the only special move that will not affect the magic meter. For this move, Shantae will instantly transform into her harpy form and fly upwards at a straight angle of your choice, much like Fox's up special. She will not go into freefall, but you can't use it again until you're grounded. But if you think that's all, you're mistaken. Because if there's a foe near Shantae as she's coming up, she'll grab them with her talons and throw them into the ground. Have fun getting free KOs off stage. So, which spell does that leave us for a down special? That'll work. This is another tap and hold variant kind of move. Here's how it works. If you tap the special button, a single peg ball will surround Shantae, protecting her, while the ball itself will deal some damage to her foes. Almost working like Mega Man's Leaf Shield, except it'll stay with Shantae until either the meter drains up, or you cancel the spell by using down special again. But if you hold the button down, she'll summon 3 pike balls instead. This is the more likely option if you want to use this move, as it deals more damage than a single pike ball would. But the option is still there if you need it. So, we're actually not done with this special moves just yet. There is one more move I want to give to Shantae. You see, Smash Ultimate introduced a new mechanic dubbed by fans as the Shield Special, and so far only 2 fighters on the roster utilize this mechanic, the Inkling and Minecraft Steve. For the Inkling, their Shield Special move allows them to refill on ink if they run out, and for Steve, his Shield Special move allows him to teleport his crafting table near him, no matter where he is on the stage. Now, I'm not saying every fighter needs a Shield Special move, but I do think this is a mechanic that should be utilized a lot more. As you can guess, I'm giving Shantae a Shield Special move. And what will be that move? Her Mirror spell, of course. It'll just be a simple reflecting move that'll cost 20% of magic. Nothing too flashy. And now, let's give the audience an encore they'll never forget. For Shantae's final smash, she'll actually have 2 of them. That's right, Shantae will have 2 final smashes just like Ryu and Ken. Why? Well, I kinda failed to mention that her magic meter will also affect her final smash. Let me show you what I mean. The first final smash is what I'm calling Genie's Trap. Normally, Shantae will hold out a magic lamp and start dancing in place. And then, not too similar to Luigi and Zelda's final smash, other fighters will be sucked inside the lamp itself, and if they're over 100% damage, it's an automatic KO. This will last for 5 seconds. This move comes from Pirate's Curse when Shantae needed to collect dark magic. But if her meter is completely full, Shantae will transform into her mermaid form, leap up into the center of the screen, and shoot a rapid spiral of bubbles while she spins in place. The bubbles will deal moderate damage and will last until the meter runs out, about 5 seconds as well. Afterwards, she transforms back to normal. This move comes from Risky's boss battle against Shantae in the Half Genie Hero DLC campaign Pirate Queen's Quest, where Shantae uses the same attack in the battle. Apparently this move also comes from Risky's Revenge, where Nega Shantae used the same attack in her boss battle. Funny how things work out. Whew! That was quite a performance. Let's rest up with some other animations. How about some taunts to relax to? For her first taunt, Shantae would giggle and put her fist in the air, and then a random item from her home series will appear above her. This references whenever she gets an item in Risky's Revenge and Pirate's Curse. This next taunt is a rather unique one. If you press the second taunt button, Shantae will enter a dancing state. You can then enter a combination of certain button presses from her first game, not to transform, but to gain a small amount of health back. Here are the 4 combinations you can enter. For the monkey dance, you press down, then right on the D-pad. For the elephant dance, you press down, then left. For the spider dance, you press down on the D-pad and then the A button. For the harpy dance, you press up on the D-pad and the A button. If you can successfully input any of these button commands on beat, your health will go down by 10%. If you fail, then nothing will happen. To cancel out of this taunt, press the shield button. It can also be cancelled by an attack from an opponent, so be quick about it if you can. For a third taunt, Shantae will bend her knees and point her fingers at each other. She'll say to her opponent, "Sorry!" as if she's apologizing for giving them a KO. Can't blame her for just wanting to have fun. Shantae will use her Warp Dance ability from Half Genie Hero to simply appear on the stage. Afterwards, she'll strike a pose and say her iconic catchphrase,
"Rit to go!"
And finally, her victory animations. For her first, Shantae will perform the transformation dance from Seven Sirens, and then strike her all-clear pose while shouting,
"All clear!"
Gems will then rain all over her as she just finished a performance. For a second, Shantae will run into the shot and leap in the air, then spin in place while magic sparkles fly around her. This references her first game when she got a relic. For this, she'll say,
"I did it!"
And for her final victory animation, Shantae will walk into the shot from behind. She'll turn around with her finger pointed at her opponent and her other hand on her hip, and then say,
"And don't come back!"
And last but not least, Shantae's victory fanfare will be the all-clear jingle, taken straight from Half Genie Hero whenever she completes a level. With all that said and done, this is what Shantae could be like in Super Smash Bros. Not bad for my first moveset, huh? This is actually my second attempt at giving Shantae a Smash moveset, because my first one was kind of a huge mess. And being the fool that I was, I actually decided to submit it as a guest article to Source Gaming last year. Just a heads up though, it's not on the website. And I'm honestly glad it's not, because looking back, it was really bad. So I took what I learned and decided to try again. There were some ideas that I left out while crafting this moveset. One idea I had was having Shantae's transformations be mapped as her down special. Since a lot of other concepts I've seen had her transformations as her smash attacks, I wasn't sold on the idea initially. But as soon as I gave in and switched them around, it became much easier to map out the moveset, and now I understand why. Sorry for doubting you guys. Another idea I eventually scrapped was having her down throw be the Bonker Tortoise Slam from Seven Sirens, but I ended up having that be her spider form instead. No offense meant for any Seven Sirens fans, I just couldn't find a way to fit that game into this moveset. The same could be said about Pirate's Curse, as I even considered giving her more moves from that game outside of one of her final smashes, like having her side smash be the Flintlock Pistol, and her up special being Risky's Cannon to shoot her upwards. But I decided I should have Shantae stick with what she knows best. And besides, the pirate motif fits Risky Boots more than Shantae ever would. Listen, if you want a pirate moveset in Smash, ask for Risky Boots herself. Or even Captain Syrup, that'd be interesting. So, while I'm not 100% on this moveset, I'm satisfied enough with it. If you have any ideas on how to improve what I created, let me know. I'd like to hear what you think. But we're not done yet. While I've already made the fighter's moveset, I'd also like to cover everything else she could have brought with her. Stages, music, spirits, Mii Costumes, etc. Hope you're ready. Let's keep going. The most obvious choice for Shantae's home stage would be, of course, her hometown itself, Scuttletown. Now, truth be told, I'm not an expert on level design, so I don't know how the stage could be designed. Maybe we could base it on its design from Pirate's Curse? Preferably before Ammo Baron took over the town. Obviously, being a DLC stage, you gotta have character cameos from the series. Here's who would show up. Sky. Sky is Shantae's best friend. She is a bird trainer who is responsible and independent. She is often a voice of reason, like a big sister. She is usually seen with her warbird, Wrench. Bolo. Bolo is Shantae's childhood friend. He assists her uncle in his workshop. He is often distracted, but is a protective and loyal friend. Roddytops. Roddytops is a free-spirited zombie. She is usually a bad influence, but tries hard to be a good friend, when it serves her purposes. Uncle Mimic. Shantae's Uncle Mimic is an inventor. He loves to rebuild machines from the Lost Age. This is often where Shantae's adventures begin. Ammo Baron. The Ammo Baron is a buff Cyclops military leader, and is one of the barons of Sequinland. He resides in a military tent in Barren Desert, from which he commands his army. His goal appears to be military conquest of Sequinland. On stage, he can often be seen with his two soldiers, Twitch and Vinegar. Harmony. Harmony is the oldest of the half-genies. She was entrusted by the genies with a scrapbook, filled with messages from each of the half-genies' mothers. On stage, there's a decent chance she can be seen with other half-genies. These half-genies are Plink, Vera, and Zapple. Squid Baron. Squid Baron is a warp squid, one of the barons of Sequinland and a recurring boss character of the series. And last but not least, Risky Boots. Risky Boots is the self-proclaimed pirate queen of the Seven Seas. She is a vain and selfish pirate who dreams of conquering Sequinland. Her army of shadowy tiger bats do her bidding. The best part about Risky Boots is that when she appears on stage, she can act as a stage boss aboard the Tinker Tub. She'll act like her boss battle from Risky's Revenge. Of course, what's a stage without music? Jake Hoffman's contributions to the series are spot-on fantastic, and would absolutely need to be included. Maybe he could have even provided a remix like Grant Kirkhope and Toby Fox? To keep this video from getting longer, I compiled a list of only 10 songs from the series. I'm sure more would be included, but these are the ones I decided on for now. Have a listen. Next, let's talk about the Mii Costumes. Now, I only have 2 ideas for Shantae-themed costumes. And no, I'm not talking about that. So I had to think about other costumes to add to this wave. What I decided on was the theme of indie game costumes. Here are the ideas I have. First up would be a Risky Boots costume for the sword fighter, with a hat and pirate garb. Next is a Heart Squid hat that can go on any Mii fighter. The next costume is a Shovel Knight costume, again for the sword fighter, complete with Shovel Knight's helmet and armor. This costume can have custom colors like the Bomberman costume. Next, coming from Cave Story, is a Quoke costume for the gunner type, complete with Quoke's hat and outfit. I know Quoke can use other weapons, but I settle for the gunner. And finally, from Hollow Knight, Hornet for the sword fighter type, complete with Hornet's mask and cloak. Why did I choose Hornet instead of the Knight? Silk's on. That's why. Shantae's classic mode route would be called Ret 2 Smash, as a reference to her catchphrase Ret 2 Go. My initial idea was to have Shantae fight characters who use magic just like her. However, since Lucas already has a route similar to this, I came up with a much better idea. What I came up with was having the route itself be centered around fighters whose games are similar to, or served as inspiration for the Shantae series as a whole. In round 1, you'll fight a White Kirby on Dreamland GB. While not a direct influence on Shantae, her first game was on the Game Boy Color, and Kirby got his start on the original Game Boy too. For round 2, you'll fight Link in his Hero of the Wild tunic on Temple Battlefield. The Legend of Zelda's fantasy setting influences the theme of Shantae's games. For round 3, you'll fight Samus on Norfair Omega. This one seems obvious. Super Metroid in particular helped shape the Metroidvania genre, which is what the Shantae series is. For round 4, you'll fight Mega Man on Wily Castle. Weapons in the Mega Man series can be swapped around freely. This might be where Shantae's transformation and spell mechanics are derived from. For round 5, you'll fight Wario in his classic plumber attire and a purple daisy on Pirate Ship. Wario Land's main antagonist, Captain Syrup, may have served as inspiration for Shantae's primary antagonist, Risky Boots. So technically speaking, Wario and Shantae both have pirates as arch-enemies. This fight is a free-for-all, by the way. For round 6, you'll fight Simon in his orange alt on Dracula's Castle. Another obvious pick. Specifically, Castlevania Symphony of the Night shares the same reason as Super Metroid. And for the final round, you'll fight Dracula. I originally thought of 2 other bosses that could go here. Ganon because he has dark magic, and Rathalos because Shantae does fight a lot of monsters in her games. But I eventually went with Dracula because he's the best of both worlds. And finally, let's wrap up this video by looking at spirits. Now here's where things get awkward. You see, Shantae and Risky Boots already have spirits in the game. However, as Min Min and Pyro and Mithra proved, new fighter spirits of themselves can be added regardless of their already in-game spirits, and this will be no different. As I've decided not only to give Shantae a new fighter spirit, but also to give Risky Boots a new spirit, since her existing spirit doesn't really fit with what I'm going for. To make this easier for myself, I'll list off all the spirits I came up with in reverse order of rank. Shantae's fighter spirit would of course be herself in her 7 Sirens design. You can secure this by beating Classic Mode as Shantae or buying it from the shop. Our first support spirit will be a legendary shield type, the Pirate Master from Pirate's Curse. He'll be possessing a purple Ganondorf along with a horde of blue Ridleys representing Tinkerbats. You'll have to fight them on Find Me Omega. You'll have to fight all the Ridleys first before you can get to Ganondorf. And once you do, the enemy is giant and has super armor. But once you defeat him, the spirit will grant you poison immunity. Our first primary spirit is an Ace Neutrals type, and this will be Risky Boots, specifically based on her recent appearance from 7 Sirens, as most of the spirits are. She'll be possessing a Mii sword fighter in Risky Boots' costume. However, if you didn't buy the costume, it will be a purple Lucina instead. Regardless, you'll fight her on Pirate Ship, and the rules, hazards, and conditions will be the same as her in-game spirits. However, the difference is, if you grab her spirit, she'll grant you Sword Attack Plus. Our next support spirit is an Ace Attack type, Harmony. She'll be possessing a white Shantae. She'll be accompanied by a female Pikachu, a green Daisy, and a pink Isabelle, as a nod to Vera, Plink, and Zapple. You'll fight them on the battlefield form of the Great Cave Offensive. You'll have to fight the other half-genies first, and once you get to Harmony, be careful, because not only will periodic earthquakes occur, but the enemy's final smash meter will charge quickly. But once you secure her spirit, she'll grant you Magic Attack Plus. Our next primary spirit is an advanced shield type, Sky and Wrench. I originally thought of having her be played by Sheik, but I decided instead that she should be played by a red Wii Fit trainer and a giant pink Falco, representing Wrench. You'll fight them on Skyloft, and Cuckoos will be the only item you use. Makes sense given that Sky works with birds. However, you'll only need to defeat the trainer in order to secure the spirit, and once you do, she'll grant you Jump Plus. The next primary spirit is an advanced attack type, Bolo. He'll be played by a blue Richter on Gerudo Valley with hazards turned off. It'll be a stamina battle with food as the only item, and the enemy will easily be distracted by them, given how Bolo is, well, kind of an idiot. But once you secure him, he'll grant you Weapon Attack Plus. Our final primary spirit is an advanced grab type, Roddy Tops. She'll be played by a green Zero Suit Samus on either Dracula's Castle battlefield form or Luigi's Mansion, whichever one works best. The enemy will run away from you and loves to taunt, given how free-spirited Roddy Tops is. But you can't stop her by using a Pitfall item, and once you secure the spirit, she'll grant you Speed Plus. Our next support spirit is an advanced shield type, Ammo Baron. He'll be played by a blue snake with two Mii Gunners representing Twitch and Vinegar. You'll fight them on Shadow Moses Island. You'll only need to defeat him, but he starts the battle with a Super Scope and his attack power is increased. But once secured, he'll grant you with a Super Scope. Our next support spirit is a novice neutral type, Uncle Mimic. He'll be played by a brown King K. Rool, yes, a brown King K. Rool instead of a green Dr. Mario, because I said so, on Great Bay. He'll be accompanied by Shantae, who will defend him, as he tends to avoid conflict. But you'll only need to defeat him to win, and when you secure his spirit, he'll grant you with a Franklin badge. Our second to last support spirit is a novice grab type, Squid Baron. He'll be played by a pink Inkling on Tortimer Island. It's a timed stamina battle, and he'll prioritize his side special. When secured, he'll grant you Impact Run. And our final support spirit is a novice attack type, the Tinkerbats. They'll be played by a horde of blue Mr. Game & Watches. You'll fight each and every one of them on Scuttletown, and each one will have a killing edge. Once you defeat them all and secure the spirit, it will equip you with a killing edge of your own. And we're finally done. As you can tell, this was a huge labor of love for myself. When I first played Half Genie Hero, I was so enamored by the character herself, the presentation, and the gameplay. Not only is it one of my favorite games I've ever played, although Seven Sirens might take the cake if I ever beat it someday, but it's also the very first Metroidvania game I've ever played. That's right, I didn't start with Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night. Shantae Half Genie Hero was my first foray into the Metroidvania genre of video games. Well, kind of, I actually started with Pirate's Curse, but I couldn't actually finish it. As such, Shantae joining Super Smash Bros. Would have been an absolute dream come true for me, and a lot of other people. But, now that she's been relegated as both a spirit and a Mii costume in Ultimate, I'm afraid we're gonna have to wait just a little longer for her to become a playable fighter someday, for some other Smash game. I was okay with the spirit because that at least gave me a tiny glimmer of hope that she could have been a part of either Fighter's Pass, even though I kept reminding myself that it would never happen. The Mii costume, however, I felt was a huge missed opportunity for her unique moveset potential. I understand why they did it. She was actually one of the most requested characters among others. But I guess Sakurai couldn't come up with a unique enough concept for her, or maybe as Nintendo was picking the fighters for both passes, she must have got overlooked. Who really knows what happened? But surprisingly enough, I actually warmed up to it recently. For a Mii costume, it really does look like a good costume, and I did have fun with it. Don't misunderstand me, this doesn't mean I'm going to main Mii Brawler just because of a costume. I'd still rather she be a full-on fighter. Not to brag or anything, but luckily I had a backup dream come true last year. You might have known about this already, but I actually did get to meet the voice of Shantae herself, Christina V, 3 times in 1 year. Needless to say, I was very excited and grateful for all 3 opportunities.
Oh my gosh! Hey, that was this year!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you look so different without the makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was the last convention I went to.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, wow. That's pretty incredible. It's good
Yeah.
to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Back on topic. There were a lot of characters I wanted to see become fighters in Smash for a long time. Banjo and Kazooie was one of them, and when they got announced at E3 2019, I was ecstatic for their inclusion in Ultimate. But Shantae, in my eyes, is the sole dream character that I want the most out of anyone in gaming history. And as much as I can't drop Banjo, as I sold my soul to them upon the reveal trailer, she would definitely be my main. So if there were ever another Smash game in the distant future, I can only hope that Shantae will get her chance then. But not this time, unfortunately. Not this time. Thanks for watching this video. I know a lot of you guys are expecting more hit or miss episodes, and that's still going to continue, don't worry. But right now I'm just experimenting with different video ideas I want to do. And before I close off this video, I want to address a question that I know a lot of you have. Will I make more movesets for other characters in the future? Right now, no. I don't have the time or the interest to make this a full series. I might change my mind someday, but for now, I'm not taking requests. Sorry. If you like this video, make sure to share it, give it a like, or maybe even consider subscribing if you want to see more videos of mine. If not, then that's okay, because remember, subscribing is an option, not a demand. Until my next video, thanks guys.